Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive.
This time, we're diving headfirst into the world of AI.
Always a hot topic, right?
You got that right. But we're not just talking about the usual suspects like chatbots or AI art today.
Oh. So what's the angle this time?
Well, we're digging into how AI is quietly, or maybe not so quietly, sneaking into some seriously unexpected corners of our lives.
Okay, you've got my attention. Like
Like, say, delivering your packages.
delivery. Now that's not something I would have expected.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. We waded through a ton of tech news and industry reports for this deep dive. And let me tell you, companies are going all in on AI right now.
Yeah, it seems like everywhere you look, another company is announcing some new AI project.
Exactly. And it's not just talk, they're actually building this stuff. Take Amazon, for example. They're rolling out this new system called VAPR. And get this, it stands for Vision Assisted Package Retrieval.
Vision-assisted package retrieval.
Hmm.
That sounds pretty high-tech for something as, well, everyday as package delivery. Right. But before you think it's just another fancy tech acronym, imagine this. You're a delivery driver, right? You pull up to a stop, and instead of spending ages rummaging through a van jammed full of packages, your windshield actually lights up and shows you exactly which package you need for that stop.
Wait, what? The windshield itself?
Yeah, pretty cool, huh?
That's more than cool. It's actually brilliant. And honestly, it's a really smart move by Amazon, especially right now.
What do you mean?
Well, think about it. Amazon's new CEO, Andy Jassy, he's all about finding ways to save money and boost efficiency.
Yeah, we've definitely seen that.
It's a big change from Jeff Bezos, who was all about those big, ambitious, long-term projects like, remember the whole drone delivery idea?
Oh, yeah, that seemed like something out of a sci-fi movie.
Right. But Jassy, he seems laser focused on making things work better and cheaper right now. And honestly, in this economy, it's probably a good move. Lots of tech companies are feeling the heat to, deliver actual profits, not just futuristic promises.
So it's like the whole tech world is having a bit of a reality check. Yeah. Less move fast and break things and more make it work and make it profitable.
Exactly. And this whole Amazon thing, going from drones to VAPR, it's a perfect example of that shift.
Okay, so let's get back to VAPR for a second because, honestly, the tech geek in me needs to know more about how it actually works.
Yeah, how do they actually do that? Make the packages light up for the driver.
So, from what we've gathered, it uses a combination of cameras and projectors. These cameras scan all the packages, figure out which one's needed at each stop, and then boom, the projector illuminates the right one. No more squinting at labels in a dark van.
And I bet that saves a ton of time. Time equals money, after all.
Oh, absolutely. And the potential time savings are huge. Some reports suggest VAPR could cut down package retrieval time from, like, several minutes to just 1 minute per stop.
Wow, that's a significant difference.
And it's not just about the bottom line for Amazon.
Yeah, I bet it makes the drivers' lives a lot easier, too.
For sure. In fact, we found this quote from a driver named Bobby Garcia who's already using VAPR in Boston. He said, and I quote, "Before, it could take me anywhere between 2 and 5 minutes to empty a tote and organize packages for the next stops. Now with VAPR, this whole step just takes me about a minute. It's made my life so much easier."
I can see why he's happy. Who wouldn't want to make their job that much easier?
Right. But here's the thing. This got me thinking. While Amazon is busy putting AI in its vans over on LinkedIn, they're grappling with a whole different AI conundrum. And it's all about, of all things, content.
Oh, LinkedIn. What are they up to?
Well, they just updated their user agreement, and there's this huge emphasis on get this user responsibility for AI-generated content.
Interesting. So they're acknowledging that AI is changing how we create content, but at the same time, LinkedIn itself has tools for creating AI content, don't they?
Yeah, and that's where things get a little murky. It's like they're encouraging users to experiment with these new AI tools, but also kind of throwing their hands up and saying, don't blame us if the AI goes rogue.
It does seem a little contradictory.
Right. It's like they're trying to have it both ways, you know?
It does make you wonder what's going on behind the scenes. I mean, are they genuinely concerned about the ethical implications of AI content, or is this whole user agreement update more about protecting themselves legally if things go south?
Right. Because let's face it, AI content can be a bit of a wild west out there.
Absolutely. I mean, we've all seen how convincing those deepfakes can be, or how AI can churn out fake news articles that sound incredibly authentic.
It's kind of scary when you really think about it. Like, how do we even know what's real anymore?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And that's why I think this whole conversation about responsibility is so crucial. It's not just on the companies like LinkedIn to figure this out. We, as users, we have a responsibility too.
Winging.
Well, we need to be more critical of the information we're consuming online. We can't just blindly trust everything we see or read, and we need to be mindful of the content we're creating and sharing.
It's like we all need to level up our BS detectors, especially in this age of AI, right?
Precisely. And speaking of responsibility, this whole LinkedIn thing, it reminds me of another piece of this AI puzzle we need to talk about: data privacy.
Oh, right. Because AI needs data to learn and improve. And where does it get that data?
Exactly. And it turns out LinkedIn was using user data, like information from our profiles and connections, to train their AI models.
And people were not happy about that, to say the least.
Not at all. There was a huge backlash when users realized what was going on, like all that personal and professional information just being fed to an AI without their explicit consent. Not cool.
Yeah, I can totally see why people were upset. It's our digital resumes we're talking about here, not some anonymous data points.
Exactly. And this brings up a massive tension point in the AI world. Companies, they need tons of data to train these increasingly sophisticated models, but users are becoming more and more wary of how their data is being used.
Especially with all the high-profile data breaches and privacy scandals we've seen lately. It's
Yeah.
like, are we supposed to just sacrifice our privacy in the name of technological progress?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And there are no easy answers.
So what happened with LinkedIn? Did they just ignore everyone and keep using the data anyway?
Well, they did eventually respond to all the criticism. They introduced an opt-out setting for users who didn't want their data used for AI training.
Okay, so at least users have a choice now. It's got to count for something, right?
It's definitely a step in the right direction. But it does make you wonder, is opt-out really enough?
What do you mean?
Well, it kind of feels like it puts the onus on the user to be aware of these settings and to actively opt out.
That's true. Most people probably just click through those settings without really thinking about it.
Exactly. So is that really informed consent? It's a debate, for sure. Some people say opt-out is fine as long as companies are transparent about their data practices, while others argue that they should be required to get explicit consent before using any personal data for AI training.
It's a tough one.
Hmm.
But since we're on the topic of protecting creators and their work, there's another company trying to tackle this from a totally different angle that I think is worth mentioning: Adobe.
Oh, what are they doing?
So they've launched this new content authenticity web app, and it sounds like it could be a game changer for creators who are worried about their work being used to train AI without their permission.
Okay, I'm intrigued. How does it work?
Well, from what I understand, it lets creators attach what Adobe is calling content credentials to their digital work.
Content credentials, so like a digital signature,
Kind of. Think of it like a nutrition label for digital content.
a nutrition label. Okay, now I'm really curious. Tell me more.
So these content credentials, they provide information about who created the work, how it was created, and most importantly, whether or not the creator consents to having their work used to train AI models.
Ah, I see. So in theory, if someone wanted to use a piece of content to train their AI, they could check these credentials to see if the creator has given the green light or not.
Exactly. And get this, Adobe isn't keeping this technology to themselves. They're pushing for it to become an industry standard.
Wow, that's huge. But for it to really work, other companies need to get on board, right?
It's really make or break time for something like this.
Totally. It'll be fascinating to see how this all plays out. Like, will other AI developers actually respect these content credentials?
Right. Or will they just find ways to get around them?
Exactly. And will other big companies be willing to adopt Adobe's system? Will they build it into their own platforms?
So many questions. But I guess that's where we are with AI right now. More questions than answers.
It's true. It often feels like we're standing on the edge of something huge.
Yeah.
Like how we handle these next few years, the decisions we make about AI and data and even creativity, those choices are going to have massive consequences down the line.
It's almost like we're at a crossroads. And which path we choose is going to determine the future of, well, everything.
That's a great way to put it. And that's why it's so important for us to remember that AI, it's not some abstract concept. It's not just lines of code or algorithms.
It's easy to forget that sometimes.
It really is. But we have to remember that AI is shaped by actual people, by the choices we make, the values we prioritize. All of it.
That's a really important point. It's easy to get caught up in all the technical stuff, but at the end of the day, AI is really a reflection of us.
Absolutely. And that brings us back to something we keep coming back to, the idea of responsibility, because
Yeah.
it's on all of us, not just the big tech companies, to make sure that AI is developed and used ethically.
So where does that leave all of us, the everyday users? I mean, we're kind of caught in the middle of this AI revolution, aren't we?
It's a good question. And I think it all starts with awareness. The more we know about how AI works, the more empowered we are to make informed choices.
So, like, do your research, right? Pay attention to those user agreements. Don't just blindly click accept all on every cookie banner.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to ask questions. Challenge the status quo. If you're concerned about how a company is using your data, reach out to them. Make your voice heard.
Because ultimately, AI should be working for us, not the other way around.
100%. It's about harnessing the power of AI for good,
Hmm.
for solving problems, making our lives better, helping us be more creative.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Well, that about wraps up this deep dive into the world of AI.
It's been quite a journey.
It really has. But
It,
before we go, we want to hear from you. What aspects of AI are you most curious about? What questions do you have about how this technology is changing the world around us?
yeah, keep the conversation going. You can find us on social media, drop us an email, whatever works for you. Let's keep exploring this wild world of AI together.
And on that note, we'll catch you next time for another deep dive.